How's it going, movie fans? My name is Jonathan. I'm a man of movies, and today we're going to get into Guy Ritchie's newest installment into his filmography. But before that happens, I gotta tell you guys that my neighbors are having a ball. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican, they're Puerto Rican. Where I live is a whole bunch of Puerto Ricans, so there's music all the time, there's loud people all the time. So if you hear any of them, it's because we're celebrating Mother's Day here. I'll give them a pass this time, so count it as some background music, if anything. But with that being said, let's get into Wrath of Man is directed and co-written by Guy Ritchie and stars Jason Statham, Scott Eastwood, Jeffrey Donovan, and Josh Hartnett. A new security guard for a cash truck surprises his co-workers when he unleashes precision skills during a heist gone wrong. And while his co-workers are wondering what this guy is all about, the marksman makes his motives very clear as he takes risky steps to settle a score. Immediately, we are bombarded with lines of dialogue that are just there to spew out exposition, and they do it in such a cringy way. So while the first scene was done exceedingly well, and it does harken back to Guy Ritchie's style of filmmaking, the moment that the guy opens his mouth to talk, I was thinking that this is definitely a bad guy, right? Because he's acting weird, and the way his lines are coming out are very stupid. He's obviously the bad guy, and he wasn't a bad guy. That's just the way he was acting, and that's the take they decided to go. How can you write dialogue in such a non-human way? Wooden acting and robotic dialogue is an understatement, and this action film tosses it around like it's nobody's business. Almost as bad as the dialogue was the tone set in motion and the sloppy way it was executed, to be honest. So that first act I thought was enjoyable enough, and it did bring a lot of Guy Ritchie's direction with his way of directing action and interactions with his characters, and I was ready to strap myself in for a blast at the cinema. But unfortunately, after those first 30 minutes or so, we then flash back for context's sake, and the rest of the movie is an hour-and-a-half drag of an action film that lacks any significant action and does this in a mundane and disappointing way. I liked what the next two acts try to set up. On paper, the twists and turns and different point of views give us a welcome narrative, but it's just all overshadowed, and the bulk of the remainder of the runtime is full of just a couple of guys standing around talking about their plan, then a ridiculously short scene of that plan working out or not working out, and then the movie just continues to draw itself very slowly into another scene of a couple of guys standing around talking about their plan.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This revenge tale is led by Jason Statham, who is mainly showcasing his performance in the beginning and then proceeds to disappear, and he only comes back in short scenes where he's in the background in the dark kind of orchestrating a plan or whatever. And I'm watching this movie with my best friend Danny, and I'm dozing off because I really thought this movie was that boring at times, and I had to tell him at the end, dude, I was dozing off. Was Jason Statham really not in this movie that much, or was it just me? And he told me, dude, we were watching the exact same thing, because I think he wasn't in this movie that much. After that first act, Jason Statham doesn't have much to do, in my opinion. And Guy Ritchie, it feels like he was trying so hard to make the next John Wick that he forgot what made John Wick work so well in the first place. And that's that Keanu Reeves was front and center at all times, and they didn't decide to focus all of their main story on John Leguizamo's character or the stupid Russian mobster's son, which is what this movie does by emphasizing Scott Eastwood and Jeffrey Donovan as the antagonists. To wrap it all up, Wrath of Man is an action film that lacks any significant action aside from one scene in the beginning and one scene in the end, where it feels like a parody a lot of the time because of its ridiculous tonal shifts and robotic-like dialogue, where the narrative loses focus on our lead to drag itself forward through other characters and cringy dialogue, and it leads to one of the more forgettable Guy Ritchie outings I've seen and heard of. I would definitely pass on Wrath of Man. Those are just my thoughts. Like always, comment below. Let me know what you thought about this movie. Did you have a fun time with it? I just think it was just way too forgettable of a film, and if you ask me in a year, I might not even remember watching this movie. But like always, like this video, share this video with family and friends, and subscribe to my channel. Till next time, movie fans.